Well, Bill, welcome to Idaho and the Rocky Mountains. You got a great view this morning.
Oh yeah, it's wonderful. Overlooking the Salmon River there.
Yeah, and on my front porch, it's kind of typical. My mornings start off, I get my cup of coffee and the dog and I come out and we kind of check out the world, watch the world drive by. And even in the winter times when it's below zero, we come out and do that. Not very long, by the way, but it's kind of one of my rituals. And then, of course, this time of day, it's cool when we got a little breeze.
Well, Ken, now since we're out here in your country and got access to your full pile of cool guns and everything, I'm curious, what guns do you shoot on a regular basis?
Well, one of the things that most people don't realize that watch the gun guys on the YouTube channel, the Wilson Combat, assume that we're only 1911 guys. What people don't realize, you and I have one thing in common. We both started with revolvers.
Oh yeah.
And I'm a big revolver fan. When it comes to shooting handguns for fun, I regard a revolver as a fun activity. And I know so many people today obsessed with, you got to train for the fight and all that stuff, and you should be training with the gun you shoot, and I do. But man, shooting should be fun.
Yeah.
And I look forward to it. So I have a bunch of guns I'm going to show you. I'm not going to say I shoot them all the time, but in the course of a year, all these guns get shot peerless. Some a lot, and some not very often. And you know, Bill, you and I have always had a little Colt versus Smith & Wesson. Kind of like Fords and Chevrolets, or, in your case, Mopar. But the kicker is, I've never been a big Python fan. Had a number of them, but as we've discussed before, durability-wise, unless those guns were tuned by somebody who knew what they were doing, Colts were kind of famous for going out of time. Especially we shot them fast double action, even worse with something like Magnum ammo.
Yeah.
So I kind of never really embraced them the way you do. And as we know, Colt brought out, introduced the Python here in 2020, and everybody in the world was shocked that they did it, and they changed the gun dramatically. And the first one they sent me was, of course, a 6-inch, because that's a classic Python. And for the youngsters who don't realize, there was a time, we can remember, when they didn't have pistol rugs, you had Seagram's bags. Now all the dopers now use these things for their stuff, but back in the day we used these to protect guns. But the guys at Colt, good dudes, I said, I want a Python, and to me this 6-inch is a classic. By the way, a George Lawrence 120 Keith model holster. But I got this 6-inch Python from them, and I got to admit, one, I think the new double actions are really out of the box superior to the original.
I'll agree with you on that.
By the way, single action trigger pulls suck, but I don't shoot them single actions, so that's okay. But I got this gun, I've shot it quite a bit. Incredibly accurate, as you know. I made some mods right up front. I relieved the grips a little bit because to clear a speed loader, and I kind of beveled the bottom so it doesn't have that kind of that trumpet effect. So, but I think the new grips are quite. I use no problem. And the DA trigger on mine right here. This is about an 8-pound DA trigger, and it goes straight through. There's no stacking, which is
common on the old ones.
Yeah. And then recently, John Harrison sent me a set of replacement sights, a gold bead front. You know, I'm a gold bead guy. You're kind of a fiber optic guy. I'm a gold bead guy. And he put a replacement blade, which is taller, bigger notch, and most importantly, it's got a larger set screw to secure it. Because we both understand that when they brought out this gun, they dropped the ball in one area, and it's the rear sight.
Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah. Now, people say, well, this one's not too loose. There's a piece, because I put a rubber shim under it, keep it from flopping around. But this was the first one, and it's a fairly early one. It's a 9,903, so they're well over, like almost 330,000 of these guns made so far. So this is a pretty early one, but I shoot it well. I like it. Now, as I told you, I tend to shoot 357 Magnums in it. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't shoot a lot because my hands can't stand a lot. But I've shot very little 38s in that gun, and I have to admit, it's made me a Python fan.
Like you said, with the exception of that terrible rear sight, I mean, Colt really did a good job on the new Pythons there. The
Kevin and the engineering crew really did it right.
Yeah.
And you know, there were some early on, some little, you know, little hurdles they had to get over, but everybody does in the firearms industry. And they adapted and corrected it, and the guns are immensely popular. They sell like crazy. I mean, they're still not caught up with demand. So,
Yeah.
no.
Well, I think we both agree, though. I mean, if they were building the gun to our specification, you know, we definitely want a lighter single action pull on them, and we'd want the trigger
Smooth.
radius and those serrations gone.
Absolutely,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, but basically you take this, you give it a lighter trigger pull, round and remove those serrations on the trigger, and put a good rear sight on it, you know, with a flat back on it. And this gun is
And
real.
by the way, somebody hopefully will step up to the plate and make a good rear sight for this, because this is the same sight from the Python, the Anaconda, the King Cobra. I mean, they use the same sight on all their guns.
They're sticking it on all of them, and the windage won't stay adjusted. I mean, unless you squirt this thing full of Loctite, I mean, the windage will not stay where you set it.
Yeah.
I mean, more than literally a cylinder full.
Yeah, it is an issue. And like I say, once you get adjusted, if you don't torque down, and the factory's got such a teeny little set screw, it feels like you need a hair for an Allen wrench.
Yeah.
So this one that John put on there is much larger. Consequently, you can get a good torque on it. And it, so far, it hasn't moved for me. But I will tell you, I'll let you set that one aside. What eclipsed that is when Colt brought this gun out, I said, guys, when you get caught up on the demand of these, you need to make a 3-inch Python. And they were like, why? Because it's the holy grail of Pythons.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, last January, they introduced the 3-inch Python. And I have to tell you, since I got this, I remind them, hey, this was, and I said, I want you to make it with a round butt. Well, they didn't do that. And they explained to me from a manufacturer standpoint, it was just simpler to make a square butt. And they come with the same big grips that that gun has, which for this gun is kind of out of balance. It's easier to shoot, but it's whatever. It's just not what I thought it should be. So they sent me this gun, and it's the 3-inch Holy Grail gun. It's a great pistol. Colt made back in the 50s a version of the official police revolver called the Marshal, and it had a round butt. And then later, during the production of official polices, they periodically made a round butt gun. Well, on eBay, I found a pair of original new Colt Marshal stocks. Took them to my buddy Mike Borman here in town, gunsmith, and said, Mike, here's the grips, reshape the frame to match. And he did. He did a beautiful job. On eBay, I also bought a Pockmeyer grip adapter for a Colt Python. And the bottom line is, and I had Jim Wall down at Sparks make me up a 3-inch Python holster, and he did a magnificent job. And we're going to be shooting this thing on the range. But this gun, in my opinion, and since I've got it, I'll be honest with you, I haven't shot the 6-inch much anymore. This is now one of my favorite revolvers to shoot. And again, with 357 ammo, I don't shoot it a lot because my hands don't like a lot of it. But I shoot it pretty regular.
Well, I mean, the nice thing about Colt coming out with a 3-inch is now you can have a 3-inch you actually shoot.
Yep.
I mean, the original 3-inches are so rare and so valuable that unless you have one that somehow has, been used a lot, and most people don't even try to find those.
Yeah.
They're too valuable to actually shoot on the range.
I know.
I mean, I've got a couple of the original 3-inch ones, and they're strictly safe queens. I bought them for an investment. I'm not going to take them to the range and actually shoot them.
If I remember correctly, I found one of those for you.
You absolutely did. You found me the deal of the century.
Yeah.
Yeah. I picked up 2 6-inch blue and that 3-inch, all from the same, same place at a hell of a deal.
Anyway, that is one of my pet guns. I have to admit.
This one's actually got a better double than the 6-inch.
Yeah, it's got a better double action. Part of it's been shot a bit more. And by the way, all Magnum ammo.
And it's got a better single action.
A better single action, which says a lot. Anyway, let's just stick that away. Now, okay, Bill, so we're sticking on revolvers for a minute. I shoot more 38 special than anything else now. As a matter of fact, of the ammo I reload, I shoot mostly 9mm, obviously. Then, believe it or not, 38 special. 45 has moved to third place. I shoot a lot of 30s because I like it. And here's a gun that I shoot a lot. This is a Smith & Wesson Combat Masterpiece, a Model 15. This is a 15-6. So it's a lighter gun because it's got the bull barrel, which makes it easier to shoot balance-wise instead of the real lightweight barrel. Cool old gun. I shoot it a lot. I really like it. It's got, and one thing we learned about revolvers is, unlike autos, to make a revolver shootable, you've got to do something with the grips to make it fit your hand. I mean, auto pistols are pretty adaptable. Revolvers, man, if they don't fit your hand right, you're never going to shoot them well. And I actually bought a gun to get these grips, which this is a pair of John Hurst grips. And John Hurst was one of the LAPD firearms instructors that made custom grips like Fuzzy Ferrant and Guy Hogue. They're all famous. Anyway, this is a pair of Hurst grips, and many people of the various ones will tell you, and I think when you check it out, as far as a good feeling comfortable grip, these are hard to beat. And I shoot probably more 38s to that than anything else.
That's probably the best feeling K-frame grip I have ever held.
Yeah.
Man, it's just, I mean, it's like it was made for my hand.
Yeah,
I mean,
nobody I've ever handed a gun to has ever said, oh, I don't like the way those feel.
Yeah.
So,
Viewers, check out those grips. I mean, it's just
and they're
amazing.
beautifully executed.
Oh, yeah.
And John Hurst, each, Ferrant had his style, Guy Hogue had his, and he had his. Each were a little different, but I think the Hurst are superb.
Oh, wow.
Be cool if you could get your buddy John Van Zant down at VZ Grips to duplicate those.
I think we need to do that. We need to pursue that.
You need to twist his arm a little bit.
This is really a nice feeling set of grips here. Yeah.
So that's a gun if you say, what revolver have I probably shot the most in the last few years? That's the gun I shoot on a pretty regular basis.
Yeah, you can tell by looking at the breech face there. You've put a few rounds down range through that one.
Now, this is the last one we'll talk about, and this is one that I think you and I will agree, if you're a gun guy, especially kind of our generation, everybody should own a Smith & Wesson Model 19 Combat Mag. And this is one that I got, I don't remember, it was back in the early 70s. It's a 19-3. Interesting enough, it's a 4-inch round butt.
Wow.
Yeah, but round butts don't work for me. And while those Hurst grips are superb, the best kept secret out there today is Craig Spiegel, who lives in Idaho, used to be over in Oregon. He finally decided to move to a free state. But Craig does beautiful work, and I love his grips. And this gun was years ago. I shot it to the point where I had to have the end shake corrected on it twice. And the last time I sent it back to Smith, they actually had to take the barrel off, turn the shoulder back and reach the barrel to make up for the cylinder gap. First gun I ever owned with a gold bead front sight the Smith put on it. And most of the work on this gun was done back in the day by Jimmy Ray, who was a revolver guru at Smith & Wesson. So smooth trigger, which most good DA shooters like. And if you look at extractor stroke and you look at the amount of blue that's worn off, that's a clue that the gun's been shot a bit.
Yeah.
And I've taken care of. I mean, but it's one of my favorite revolvers. And if you say, Ken, let's go shoot revolvers, this is kind of one of the guns I still have a soft spot for. I don't shoot it as much as I used to because I tend to shoot the Model 15, but it's just that's cool old gun. And the grips are actually quite nice. And he does it quality, checkering, and it's just.
I mean, this grip feels really good, but it's just not as perfect. It's not perfect like that, like that other one is.
Yeah. But I've got a lot of guns with Spiegel grips, and they're probably my go-to grip now if I have a choice.
Yeah.
But he's got a huge backlog, so it's kind of like you can snap it. I do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, nice.
Listen, gang, again, press the subscribe button to the Wilson Combat YouTube channel. And also, the comment section, if you have questions or something you would like to talk about or something you'd like for us to discuss, don't be afraid to add that to the comment section in the future. Kind of some old guy topics here, but the revolver thing, keep in mind, we're seeing a bit of a revolver comeback in America, almost a renaissance of revolvers. So We still think they're cool, and like I say, we both shoot them, and we hope you enjoy some of those revolvers too. Stay safe, go to the range, and we'll see you down the road.